Entitled Woman Demands Reserved Seat Because She Deserves It Due to Cold War Drills. Finding tickets for Oppenheimer proved to be quite the challenge in my area. Due to the high demand and limited availability, the only showing I could secure was a late one on a Saturday night, specifically the 9:30 p.m. showing. It wasn't the most convenient time, but I was really keen on seeing the film, and I figured a late show would mean fewer younger viewers, ensuring a quieter experience. I arrived at the theater, picked up my usual movie snacks, a pack of Skittles and a soda, and headed to my assigned seat. The theater featured those modern, comfortable reclining seats with plenty of space between rows, so you didn't have to awkwardly squeeze past people. A few minutes into the previews, a woman walked down my aisle, clearly looking for her seat. She located it, seemed displeased, and then proceeded to march back towards my side of the aisle. She stopped a few seats down from me and began loudly confronting the person sitting there. She was insisting that he needed to move from his seat because she wanted it. This wasn't just any seat, it was one he had specifically reserved in advance. The man sitting next to me immediately pulled out his phone and started recording, while I sat up intrigued by the unfolding drama. The woman launched into a tirade, demanding that the man relinquish his reserved premium seat. Her demands were quite varied and increasingly bizarre. She insisted he needed to respect his elders and show respect to women. She then bizarrely accused him of trying to cancel her just because she was a white, which was particularly strange given that he appeared to be white as well. She also threw in insults, calling him a lazy, entitled millennial. Her core justification for why he must give up his seat was truly astounding. She claimed that because she had to participate in atom bomb drills during her elementary school years, she therefore deserved to have a good view for this movie. The logic was completely nonsensical and disconnected from the situation. Realizing this wasn't going to resolve itself quietly, I grabbed my phone and called the theater staff. The person who answered on the other end could clearly hear the commotion in the background. Without me even saying much, they immediately asked, "Let me guess, Theater 4? They informed me that security would be there momentarily, adding that my call was the 5th one they had received about the situation in that specific theater. True to their word, security arrived quickly, calmly escorted the disruptive woman out of the auditorium, and the rest of us were finally able to enjoy the movie in peace, free from her entitled demands and bizarre justifications. Cold War drills entitle you to a reserved seat. That is peak entitlement right there. Don't miss the next video. Subscribe now. My sister thinks my same-sex wedding doesn't count and wants our fund money. It's honestly hard to believe someone could have this level of nerve, but my younger sister has proven me wrong. The situation feels completely surreal. I'm a 28-year-old woman, and I met my wonderful soon-to-be wife, Noah, who is 35 when she relocated to my country for her job. Noah was recently divorced but came with a fantastic package deal. Her sweet 5-year-old daughter, Lena. Getting to know Lena has been an absolute joy. Noah's previous marriage ended after she realized she is gay. Her ex-husband reacted poorly, wanting nothing to do with her or Lena afterward, making a ridiculous comment about not wanting it to be passed on, whatever that's supposed to mean. About 10 months ago, I proposed to Noah. I knew she would be too nervous to do it herself. It wasn't a grand public spectacle. I simply asked her over dinner with Lena's enthusiastic blessing. We both agreed that we wanted our wedding to be a simple, intimate affair, especially since Noah's first wedding was large and something she didn't enjoy. Our guest list is planned to include just close family and a few friends. My parents generously offered to contribute some money towards our wedding expenses, even though we assured them it wouldn't be an extravagant event. They specifically wanted to help cover the cost of a lovely flower girl dress for Lena and pay for my dress as well as whatever outfit Noah chooses to wear. She's thinking a suit. Now enter my entitled younger sister Kate, who is 25. She behaves as if she and her boyfriend are engaged, even though he seems hesitant to actually propose. Kate has always been the golden child, accustomed to being spoiled and getting whatever she desires. She's already made some rather insensitive remarks about Noah having a child and being divorced, but I quickly shut that down, telling her to drop the ignorance. Just because she's chosen to stay in our small hometown and hasn't broadened her perspective doesn't give her the right to say things like that. During dinner last night, Kate started complaining loudly about how I didn't need any money for my wedding. She questioned why we were even bothering with a wedding since Noah had already been married before and had supposedly suddenly decided she was gay and wanted another go at marriage with a woman. This line of commentary particularly bothered me because Noah is quite insecure about her past divorce and journey, and I'm very protective of her. Kate continued her rant, going so far as to suggest that Noah could just reuse her first wedding dress, and then started laughing. Her boyfriend looked visibly embarrassed by her behavior, and while my parents told her to quiet down, neither of them addressed the content of her hurtful comments directly. Following this unpleasant exchange, my parents approached me privately. They told me it made more sense to them if they allocated a larger portion of their wedding contribution to my sister's potential future wedding fund because, in their words, it would be her first and only wedding, completely overlooking the fact that this will be my first marriage. Kate had apparently specifically asked for the majority of the money they offered me to be set aside for her instead. I informed my parents that they should keep all of their money. I made it clear that their financial contribution was unwelcome if it came with the implication that they would shame my wife and stepdaughter, or if they felt a straight wedding was inherently more deserving of funding than a same-sex one. We are perfectly capable of funding our simple, intimate wedding on our own without their prejudice, conditions, or my sister's interference. Kate even questioned why we'd need a reception at all if there wasn't going to be a bride and groom, highlighting her belief that a gay wedding isn't as important or valid as a traditional one. My entitled sister-in-law demands shared custody of my newborn because she can't have kids. Here's a situation I'm currently navigating that feels incredibly unbelievable. I'm a 36-year-old woman, and my sister-in-law, SIL, is 40. I've been married to her brother for over a decade, and throughout this time, there's always been an underlying current of jealousy and resentment from her side. It often felt like she envied the life I had, not necessarily specifically with her brother, but the general stability of having a marriage, building a family, and having a steady career. I currently have 3 children, a 10-year-old daughter, an 8-year-old son, and our newest addition, a baby girl who is just 3 months old. My sister-in-law got married last year, and she and her husband decided they wanted to start a family. Unfortunately, she received the difficult news that she wouldn't be able to conceive naturally. She was understandably heartbroken by this, and our family did our best to offer comfort and support during that challenging time. Recently, we were all gathered for a family dinner at my house. The atmosphere was relatively pleasant until, out of nowhere, in the middle of the meal, my sister-in-law turned to me and made a truly shocking statement. She looked at me and said, "My name. I think it's incredibly unfair that you've been able to have 3 children while I can't have any. Your baby is essentially my last chance to experience raising a child. So I believe you should give her to me during the week so I can build a strong motherly bond with her. You can then have her back on the weekends." Before I could even formulate a response to this outrageous demand, the entire dining table erupted into chaos. Everyone started talking at once, expressing their disbelief and shock. The noise level was intense, so I decided to take my older children upstairs to shield them from the commotion. When I returned downstairs, the discussion was still heated. My sister-in-law's husband was clearly upset, asking her what on earth she was thinking and why she would ever propose something so absurd. She was attempting to justify her position, trying to explain her reasoning when I finally managed to cut through the noise. I told them both that they needed to leave my house immediately. I also stated clearly that she was no longer welcome in my home or allowed around my children until she sought professional help. This boundary set her off completely. She began screaming at me, yelling that I didn't deserve my life or my children and that I had somehow stolen her baby from her. Her husband and my mother-in-law were mortified and kept apologizing profusely to me and everyone else present. They had to physically coax and eventually drag her out of the house. She was still crying and screaming as they left. It was a deeply disturbing scene, and now my older children are understandably confused and upset, asking why their aunt wants to take their baby sister. Since the incident, we've taken steps to ensure our family's safety and well-being. We already have a security system and cameras installed at our home, and no one outside our immediate family has keys, while some have suggested a restraining order based on the laws in our area. This single incident, while severe, isn't sufficient grounds to obtain one at this time. My husband and I had an initial conversation with our older kids that same night to address the situation and reassure them, and we plan to have further discussions to reinforce that their aunt's behavior was unacceptable and that she is not a safe person to be around right now. In our country, citizens do not have the right to bear arms, and personally I have no interest in owning a gun. As a precautionary measure, I will also be informing the school and daycare about the situation and providing them with her photograph. I understand completely if this story sounds hard to believe. Honestly, if I had heard about this happening to someone else last week, I might have doubted it myself. But unfortunately, this is the unsettling reality my family is currently facing. Entitled renters tried to take over my exclusive gazebo for a photo shoot. Every year in August, I-50F rent a specific property located along a beautiful river in Ontario, Canada. I typically stay for about 10 to 14 days. My rental agreement includes the exclusive use of a private cabin, a deck complete with a hot tub, and a fully furnished gazebo. It's important to note that my unit is the only one on the property that comes with its own gazebo as part of the rental package. Just to the east of my rented cabin is another, smaller rental unit, which only includes a dock and a hot tub, lacking the gazebo. I had just returned from a quick trip to the grocery store and was in the process of unpacking my car when a young woman, who I'll call EW for entitled woman, walked directly onto my private deck. It was obvious she had just come from showering or using a hot tub, as she was wrapped in a bathrobe. EW immediately launched into a statement. "Hi, I just wanted to stop by and let you know that my partner and I will be doing a photo shoot in the gazebo tomorrow morning. We're just giving you a courtesy heads up because we'll need to move your boats out of the way for the shoot. Don't worry, we'll put them back when we're done." Now, the gazebo is situated right next to the deck that surrounds my rental cabin. I keep my kayak stored inside the gazebo when rain is expected, which it had been doing intermittently throughout the day. As per the rental agreement and the orientation given by the owners to all new arrivals, I have exclusive use of this entire area, including the gazebo. Renters from other units are explicitly not supposed to come onto my section of the property. I was standing at my cabin door, still holding grocery bags, completely taken aback by her assumption that she could just commandeer the gazebo that is part of my paid rental. Before I could even process what she said, she started firing off rapid-fire questions without pausing for any answers. So, are you staying here alone? Or do you have your husband and kids with you? Do you actually own this cabin? How much did it cost you? How long have you been staying here? I interrupted her barrage of intrusive questions and simply stated, "You are currently in my private space. Please leave." She brushed this off, saying, "I'm just trying to be friendly." I stood my ground. "No, you are not being friendly. You are intruding on my private space and invading my privacy with your intrusive and frankly creepy questions. You will absolutely not be conducting a photo shoot tomorrow or any other time in my gazebo. Please leave my property right now." EW's demeanor shifted. She responded in a distinctly snippy tone, "There's no need to get snippy with me. We are doing the shoot tomorrow, so you had better not interfere. Given your attitude, I think it would be best if you just headed into town by 8 a.m. tomorrow and didn't come back until after 2 p.m. I was astounded by her audacity. "That is not going to happen," I told her firmly. "Get off my deck, get out of my private space immediately." She actually stamped her foot. "You are being completely unreasonable. You're the only person here with a gazebo. You need to share," I repeated just as firmly. "No, I absolutely do not need to share. Leave now." I then went inside my cabin, locked the door, and immediately sent a message to the property owner. I've been renting here for several years now, and the owner and I have developed a friendly relationship, so I knew they would understand the situation. Unsurprisingly, the entitled couple did not show up at my gazebo for their planned photo shoot the next morning. I later found out from the owner that they had a separate issue with this couple. The owner had to go over and essentially chase them out of their own rental unit the following morning because they were still in bed an hour past the designated checkout time. Seriously? Telling the person who rented the gazebo to leave their own property? The audacity is astounding. How would you have responded in this situation? Brother who stole my ex now demands wedding invite and got our parents uninvited. Just for context, I attempted to share this story a few days ago, but my account was too new at the time. I honestly wasn't planning on making a post about this whole mess initially. However, my brother, whom I'll refer to as Turk, 25 meters, has apparently made multiple posts about the situation himself, so I felt it was only fair to offer my perspective. To keep things straightforward, I'll use the same names he did for the key people involved. My wonderful fiancée is named Maria, 24F, and my ex-girlfriend is Jen, 24F. Roughly 5 years ago, my brother Turk started dating Maria, who is now my fiancée. About 3 months into their relationship, they decided to play matchmaker and set me up with Maria's best friend at the time, Jen. Since the girls were such close friends, The four of us spent a lot of time together, often going on double dates and hanging out as a group. Turk and Maria dated for a year, and Jen and I were together for 9 months. Towards the end of my relationship with Jen, I came home unexpectedly early one day. What I walked in on was my brother Turk and Jen having sex in my own bed. It was a deeply shocking and painful discovery. After managing to process what I had just witnessed, my first thought was for Maria. Knowing I would want to be informed if I were in her position, I immediately called her. She came over, and together Maria and I confronted Turk and Jen about their betrayal. In the aftermath of this confrontation, Turk and Jen abruptly broke up with both of us. To add insult to injury, I found out just 2 days later that they had started dating each other. This entire series of events absolutely crushed me. The feeling of coming home to find my own brother intimately involved with my girlfriend, only for them to immediately run off together, was devastating. The situation was so bad that I ended up having to move back in with my parents. The infuriating part was how they seemed to flaunt their new relationship, with people around them constantly talking about how happy Turk and Jen appeared to be together. Over the next couple of months following the breakups, Maria and I started talking more and more. We were both navigating incredibly similar and painful situations, having been betrayed by people we cared about who were also close to each other. We found a lot of comfort and understanding in each other's company as we processed what had happened. And about 4 months after we were both dumped, Maria and I officially began dating. Interestingly, about 6 months after the initial breakup with Jen, Turk discovered that Jen had been cheating on him, and she subsequently left him for the other guy. I actually only learned this specific detail recently by reading Turk's post about the situation. Throughout the years that followed, Maria would occasionally receive messages from Turk, sometimes attempting to reconnect or apologize, but she consistently ignored him, having moved on completely. Fast forward to the present day, Maria and I are happily engaged and are planning our wedding for September. My parents were originally on the guest list and invited to the wedding. However, things took a turn recently. My mother called me and issued a direct threat. She stated that she would not attend my wedding if I did not invite Turk. Given everything that had transpired and the pain Turk had caused, not just to me, but also indirectly leading to how I met Maria through a shared trauma, there was no way I was going to extend him an invitation. In response to her ultimatum, I told her not to bother coming at all if that was her stance. My mother has always had a blind spot for Turk. In her eyes, he can do no wrong. Even back when he slept with and started dating my ex, I told my parents everything that had happened, and my mom tried to defend his actions. My relationship with my parents, particularly my mother, isn't the strongest, but it was somewhat stable until this wedding issue arose. After I uninvited my mother from the wedding, I initially only uninvited her, but my dad quickly texted me to say he wouldn't be coming either if my mom wasn't attending, effectively uninviting himself. Turk suddenly blew up my phone. He started calling me repeatedly, desperately trying to get a hold of me. This is noteworthy because it's the first time he's genuinely attempted to reach out to me or connect in about 4 years. As I mentioned, Turk has posted about this situation elsewhere online, and apparently my parents were the ones who informed him that Maria and I were getting married, which seems to have triggered this whole escalation, resulting in them getting uninvited. He's stopped calling me constantly now, but he's still blowing up my phone with a barrage of text messages. In these texts, he's begging me to reinvite our parents to the wedding, and is also subtly, and sometimes not so subtly, angling for an invitation for himself as well. So that's the current state of affairs. I just wanted to share my side of the story, given that he's put his version out there.